Hello, Chattacon. This is the Dirty Deeds interview panel with Faith Hunter and crew. Let's see what we got. We got RJ Blain. We got Diane
Pharaoh.
Pharaoh. Okay. And Devon Monk, which she has fell off because of internet connections, and she will be back in a little bit. Let's go around and do introductions, starting with RJ, who has wrangled this crew together for this anthology of Dirty Deeds.
Hey, and this is my cat, Zazzle. She decided to join because, at home. I'm RJ. I am a paranormal romance comedian author, sort of urban fantasy, and I dabble in other genres as well. I'm actually putting the blame on Diana Pharaoh Francis for this one, although I somehow ended up taking the reins. But it's her fault. And yeah, I have a cat. Meow. She is very happy to be here, as am I. Hello.
All right, Faith.
I'm Faith Hunter. I've been in print, mostly traditional publishing, since 1990 under various different names in lots and lots of different genres. And I now publish under Faith Hunter, which is my name also. And I publish as urban fantasy and science fiction with Penguin Random House, Audible, a brand new company put together by Christine Havum and Lore Seekers Press.
All right, Diana.
I am Diana Pharaoh Francis. Yes, that is my real middle name. It was my maiden name, and it was so cool, I didn't want to lose it. So there you go. I write traditional fantasy and urban fantasy, and hope to branch out a little bit into romantic suspense very soon. And I was doing a lot of publishing traditionally and still am, but I am trying to branch out more into self-publishing. And there's Devon.
Yes, I totally lost my internet connection, and I think I just jury-rigged it back together, so we'll see.
Okay, well, good, because now it's your turn. You're in the hot seat.
Oh, God. Okay, what for?
Introduce yourself.
Oh.
Tell us who you are, what you do, and what devious arts you are accustomed to. Yeah, something like that.
Oh, devious stuff. Okay, my name is Devon Monk, and I write right now a lot of urban fantasy. I have 7 series on the shelf. I came up through short fiction, so I wrote a lot of short fiction before that. Let's see, what else about me? I've been published traditionally by Rock. I think I have 4 series out through them, and I'm doing some self-publishing right now, which I am adoring. So that's me.
Okay, so explain what Dirty Deeds is.
Okay, since I have to do, I'll do. Oh, look at you, Devon. You're like, please do it. Please do it. Yeah. So what essentially happened is at World Fantasy Con 2019, Deanna Pharaoh Francis and I were roommates, and she made the comment she'd never done an anthology and wanted to do one. And I'm like, well, I could ask Faith. And Diana was like, I could ask Devon. And at that point, they were interested, and we didn't have a theme, so we're kind of funny people. And so we thought it would be fun to do something where the girls are getting down and dirty, taking on the really dirty jobs, the ugly jobs.
Which is generally what we write anyway.
Yeah, so we just, hey, we all write this, so why not just embrace it and have fun with it? Be ourselves.
This is the result. Isn't it beautiful?
It's so
pretty. Look at that.
That's an awesome cover too.
Love that. It's glorious. And in case you think it's not very big, look at the size of this sucker.
What's the word count on that?
180,000 words.
Holy wow.
It's almost 700 pages long.
And are there only 4 stories in it?
No, there are 6 stories in it. We had basically how I ran it was I gave everybody a set word count. Try not to go over it. If you go over a little bit, it's okay. But
some of us went under it, and
some of us went over it.
and had to meet contracts.
I have no shame in this.
I know
made
Val
the
had
right
a short story, and I think Devon did the same thing.
Yeah, that was fun
Yeah.
actually. I liked being able to do a longer story and then just a little snippet story. That was kind of fun.
It was fun. I'm going to do that next year or next. So not yet next year, but well, actually, yeah, next year.
You're giving it
are
away,
in
so now you
2021,
have
aren't
to.
we?
Yes, now you have to say what's happening next year before we even talk about this year.
We can do that at the end. We can do it at the end of the spoiler.
Okay, we'll
You
come
can, plug,
back
you
to
can
it.
plug what's coming up later on.
Yeah, we'll plug what's coming up later on. Yeah, so the funny thing about the cover is this is by Rebecca Frank. She's my primary cover artist. I love her to pieces. This is Rebecca's sister. The model
cool.
is actually
Look at that.
Rebecca's sister.
Hmm.
Yes.
Oh, I love that.
Oh, and it gets even better. When we were picking models, Rebecca was upset because an author had said her sister was ugly and not fit to be a model. And I went, we'll take her for the anthology, please, and thank you.
What?
Yeah.
All right, wait a minute.
Okay.
Let's
How
see.
dare she not
Look
be
at
a
this.
size one?
The first thing that pops in my head is Elijah Dushku.
Yeah.
Gorgeous.
Yeah, no, this is a beautiful young lady. Yeah. I saw that go down and I was like, no. She's gorgeous. I love her. I think I have her on several of my book covers. I just keep stumbling into her. So I guess I might as well spoil it now, but I'm going to get her again for the next edition of Dirty Deeds, and in which we have picked up a 5th author who will be Grace Draven. So that'll be fun.
All right. When it came to working on your stories, was there any rules of engagement? Was there a goal for the character to complete or anything theme
Had to be
wise?
dirty deeds. Had to get dirty. Had to be
Okay.
doing something dirty.
And I
My
took that,
character kidnapped somebody.
I took that deliberately as dirt, and my character kind of rolls around in the mud a lot.
Yes, your characters rolled around the mud a lot. It was hilarious.
Mine just
Yeah.
say dirty things and then get weird things happening to them.
It does fit though.
Yeah.
Very dirty minded.
Yes.
It counts.
Hey, I agree.
It was loose. We just
And
needed
there was-
some form of theme.
There was plenty of blood. Blood is dirty. It's hard to get out.
True.
I totally agree.
Yeah, I
Totally
just sort of
agree.
interpreted it as like curses and crimes and things that go wrong kind of thing. So
Okay.
yeah.
So there really wasn't any kind of you can't do this. It
Yeah,
was,
I think
there's the
there was
title, do
one.
it.
I think there was like one rule, and the main characters can't be bullies. We don't do the bullying thing. I think that was the only guideline I had. It's like, yeah, let's not do that.
I
And
forgot that guideline.
Your characters,
that, but I forgot there was a guideline.
yeah, no, it was very minor. It was like, you know what? Do whatever you want. Let's just stay away from that.
Now, was there any cross connection between the stories?
Nope.
Totally independent. Okay.
Everybody is independent. We did it because we wanted to reach new readers. We wanted to do something fun and exciting. And mostly we just wanted to have some fun. And so we got together and we had a party. It just happened our party involves writing stories.
Sounds about like one that I got coming up this year.
And then we all set them in our different worlds so that people can get a different taste of who we are. So
Okay.
that was fun.
and this is the first time we've met, and in like as close to in person as we will ever get during COVID. And this is so exciting.
This is very cool.
I've already said that, but this is the first time. This is so cool.
What were we thinking? We should have done this before.
It never crossed my mind.
social anxiety number 1 person, social anxiety number 2 person, social anxiety number 3 person, and then we have Diana.
Oh wait, you're the outspoken one. Okay, so
No. RJ's the outspoken one.
She's outspoken, but she has social anxiety.
I
So,
am
and so do
anxiety
I,
medicine
but
for this,
nobody
let me tell
knows
you.
it.
that's the defense mechanism. That's what it is.
Exactly.
You're scary.
All right.
I do fine unless I'm one-on-one with people. When I'm one-on-one with people, I kind of go,
Really? I'm the opposite, Faith. I'm like
Really?
good one-on-one. I'm like terrible in crowds.
But you gave me the evil eye when I called you an old lady.
which one of us?
Which
You.
one? Oh,
Well, I am an old lady, but he was calling me, and what the question was when we first met, he was talking about my science fiction, Junkyard Cats, and he said, "So, are you an old lady?" And in biker terms, that means, "Are you a woman who rides with a biker, married to a biker, or a biker's girlfriend?" And I looked at him and said, "That's not a very nice thing to say." I know exactly what he was talking about, but I did at him a good bit for it.
And that was actually Chattacon last year. That was the first time we met. All right. So would you guys like to tell us a little bit about each of your stories? Give the audience a little teaser of what they can expect in Dirty Deeds.
Everybody freeze.
RJ, first, go.
Okay.
I'll hold it up while you
if
talk.
I open the book and look inside, I can see what my book is called. So when you know the stage fright kicks in, I wrote a story in the magical romantic comedy with a body count series. It's technically a novella, but it's really kind of the first arc of a novella or of a
Wait, hold on. Okay, back up. A magical fantasy.
Magical romantic comedy with a body count.
So Princess Bride with a body count.
Urban fantasy, though.
So the Princess Bride wears long tall boots to the knee, carries lots of weapons that go bang. It's modern day, but
Some of the weapons are just sharp.
yeah, some of the weapons are
Sharp
very
is good.
sharp. Yeah.
I will actually, I have the perfect cover to basically show you. Hold on. If I can make my phone do this.
Honey,
Come on, phone.
awesome.
You can do it. You can do it, phone. You can do it. So
this reminds me of when my son said, "Mom,
fire-breathing unicorns that eat meat. Fire-breathing unicorns that eat meat. That is, yeah, it gets silly. The first one is called Playing with Fire, and that's where the fire-breathing unicorn who eats meat is introduced. And then it's a series of standalones, but all the standalones connect together. So as the series progresses, you see how book 1 connects in with book 4 or 5, and then book 2 comes in at like book 7, and you start seeing how the characters link together, and then they'll eventually meet as the storyline progresses. But it's basically the story of a really whacked world. It's our world, except for a whole lot of magic comes in, and insanity and gods, and kind of like Devon has gods in her world, and except for mine are a lot more in your face everywhere.
Oh, that's perfect. Then I guess Devon gets to go next.
Yes,
oh, no."
yes. She called me out. It's her turn.
Okay, it's my turn. So I decided to write, it's really a short novel in the world of my Ordinary Magic series, and it takes place in Ordinary Oregon, which actually doesn't exist, except I based it off of a real coast town here in Oregon, basically Lincoln City. If there's any locals listening, it's Lincoln City, Depot Bay, Newport area, except it's the place where gods put down their powers and go on vacation. So the main character is the chief of police. She and her 2 sisters are supposed to police all these gods on vacation who are just causing trouble, and all of the supernatural creatures who also live there among the humans. So in this short story, or this short novel, I wrote about, called Sealed with a Tryst, and it's about the main character trying to get away on her own vacation, away from this vacation town. Like, how does the person who looks after the vacation town of the gods go on vacation. And everything goes wrong because there's a cursed garage sale where Pandora's storage unit has been sold off in a garage sale. So everything that's sold is cursed and they have to chase it all down. And there's, of course, a love story that goes through the theme. And then the short story that I included in the collection is a lot of my readers say their favorite character in the series is Than, which is Death on vacation. And so I wrote a story through his point of view. It's the first time I've ever done that. And it's kind of about him trying to pet sit a dragon pig. It's a dragon, but it decided to disguise itself as a little baby pig to be cute. And so nobody knows that it's actually this giant world-eating dragon. So those are my two stories in the anthology.
Wow.
I think Diana should go next.
Oh, you want to throw her under the bus next?
I'm throwing people under the bus now. If they threw me under, I'm throwing them under.
So I have a crowd of dogs in my room. There's 2 corgis, and this is Merlin.
Merlin's beautiful.
And Merlin kept barking at me, and so this is what I have to do to shut him up. I've also got Crowley and Voodoo down there somewhere. All right, so my book is about Mallory, who is a kind of witch for hire fix-it person, and she does jobs. So in the first book, it was the incubus job, where she was tracking down an incubus, and that went seriously awry. And then the second book, which I'm not done with, sorry, is the elf job, and elves are, they're just assholes, really. And so she's having to deal with that. And the third book involves a giant and pixie wedding. And the giants are a little weird. And the pixies aren't your typical friendly, cute pixies. They're flying disasters. They like to play pranks, only their idea of pranks is sort of to burn the whole town down or cause as much mayhem as possible because they think it's funny, even when they're doing it to each other. And and this is because of RJ, this part here. They have these things called glitter bombs, which have no glitter inside. But
I'm hiding now.
But they when they throw them, the bombs explode and they're a little shiny. And then they just sort of randomly turn things into random stuff with no idea what's going to happen. And they'll just drop that wherever and see what happens. And so it makes the game kind of fun because you never know what's going to happen. And in this one, there's some murders, some giant murders, and some other stuff going on besides the pixies. It was fun.
Okay, is this in an existing universe?
Yeah, it's my, do you have to do that? It's my Mission Magic series.
Okay, I got one confusing question. You said a giant and a pixie wedding.
Yeah. Funny, my character asks the same question. How is that even?
Exactly.
How does that work?
You gotta read, man. You gotta read.
All right. Well, that leaves Faith.
Toss her under the bus.
Well, I was contractually bound by not being able to write a short story featuring Jane Yellowrock, but nobody said I couldn't write at that time side characters, and so I picked for the novella. I picked Eli, who I have always adored Eli. He's this former Army Ranger who's yeah. You have not read this, have you?
Wait, is this the one that I read?
I don't know. I've sent you something. I don't remember what I've sent you. Eli and Liz, and they go to find a lost dog because, I mean, what's more simple than finding a lost dog, except the problems that begin to arise where the dog was lost, which is in a place in the Appalachian Mountains between a tunnel, right after a tunnel, and the ground kind of does this straight down, and the dog took off during a car wreck. So Liz has gotten the job of finding a lost dog, and she asks the ranger to help her because they kind of had this attraction between them, and then she got sick with pneumonia, and he kind of dumped her because he couldn't take care of another person, and she's insulted because nobody has to take care of Liz because Liz has her own magic. So Liz decides she's going to ask Eli to help her find the lost dog. Together they go to find the lost dog, and they find out that it's really not a lost dog. It's a trap to
It's a trap.
trap, honey. I'm turning it on just a little bit.
Just a little?
I have a wide variety of Southern accents. I'm on several of them during this time. But she ends up down at the bottom of a gorge with Eli, fighting something they did not intend to fight, didn't bring the weapons to fight, and ends with them in some kind of really, really skanky mud. And then the short story is actually based on a secondary character who appears in the novella. And the short story is what happens immediately after the lost dog story from two different characters' points of view. And it's Second Chance at Love short story. It's sweet, it's demanding, and it's what happens when a man is strong enough and masculine enough and sure of himself enough to not be afraid of a strong woman who has a job to do.
Nice.
It's also
I had no idea what I was going to say. I'm going to blame it on this water I'm drinking.
I have read that one. You sent that to me to bleed on.
And you did, and it's better. I knew I sent you one of them. I couldn't remember.
Oh, you sent me a couple already, and I'm like waiting on the next one, whatever it's going to be.
Yeah, because I'm writing from a masculine point of view, and I have to. I've only got women beta readers. I've only got female beta readers, and I don't have a former military beta reader, which I needed, and I don't have, a former military male beta reader. I do have some former military female beta readers, but I kind of needed to see if there's a difference in the viewpoints, and there actually is. There's a difference in that I have to protect the little woman, even if the men don't realize that's there.
Oh, that's all. The white knight syndrome is always in the back of our heads. It's programmed into us from being little, and it's so hard to fight against, you know?
Yeah, it's really hard for some guys to not be freaking dang helpful. I can do it by myself, honey. That's the attitude I wanted to put into these books and into these stories, and that's actually the outcome of each of the stories is thank you for your help. Please get out of my way.
And it worked well.
Put yourself in the corner.
Get into that corner.
Or cover me, I'm busy.
Go make dinner, honey. I'll be in a few minutes.
There you go. You know, he probably doesn't know how to cook unless he's Eli. Or Lincoln Shattuck. Odd how that's the characters in each of my stories. They both know how to cook. Interesting. I didn't think about that until now.
Well, the women are obviously too busy getting stuff done.
That's your subconscious desires coming out.
Oh,
she wants to bark at the moon.
Could be. I have a husband who doesn't even really know. Well, I take it back. He has how to boil water in the microwave. So.
Progress.
Oh,
Wow.
We're
um,
like little kids who have been let out for playtime, except for we have no idea what to do now that we're at playtime.
who, us?
Yes, us.
Yeah, so you have to have questions for us, Billy Joe Bob.
all right.
You should never have given me that name. Billy Joe Bob is forever and now what I shall call you.
Well, that's okay. But that was one of those. I thought it was wrong for you not to know if you didn't realize it.
I did not realize that that was your pen name. And by the way, ladies, the gentleman is a writer.
Yay. We could interview him.
Oh,
Yeah,
hell. Uh-oh.
Ooh, okay. Our first question is mine. So tell me, William Joseph Roberts, what do you write? Would you be so kind as to introduce yourself as a writer and tell us all about wonderful words?
I am William Joseph Roberts. I write science fiction, fantasy, horror, and anything the evil mind squirrels demand of me. My latest release came out Friday before last, and is called Smuggler's Run, which is a parody of everything in the 80s. If you take Spaceballs and it had a love child with the Dukes of Hazzard, while slathered in everything that is the 80s, you would have Smuggler's Run.
But is there mayonnaise?
Do what mayonnaise?
Okay, you now have a here's your request. I want your next story to mention being slathered in mayonnaise.
I can make that happen.
Or Miracle Whip, or both.
Me and Woods are disappearing in about 2 weeks to go start the next book, so I can make that happen. All right, so all right, we'll go backwards this time around. Faith, tell us some of your inspirations.
For what?
Who inspired you to become a writer? Who inspired your style, your voice?
Almost died.
Oh God, I don't remember. I've been writing since I sold my first book in 1989. I don't have the faintest idea what I was doing back then.
I'm your inspiration. I told you what to do.
Yeah, there you go. For this one, she said, make it about dirty deeds. She said, I want Jane. I said, you can't have Jane. I'm
I
contractual.
said, yes, I can.
And I said, no,
Yes,
you
I
can't.
can.
I said, I contractually cannot give you Jane.
I want Jane.
She said, well, what can I have? So I got in touch with my agent and we decided that she could have one of the Everhart sisters, who was a secondary character in a different story in a different anthology, and Eli, who I had never written from his point of view before, and then Bedelia, who is Molly Everhart's mother, and Lincoln Shattuck, who is
Jane.
her, who is what?
Jane.
Jane appears, but Jane's in half form, and Jane's kind of loud and obnoxious, and ends up getting hurt most of her time trying to heal under a tree and kind of out of sight.
But that's half the fun when she's half form and crazy.
Well, she is crazy, but now you have to understand what she's fighting, which we can't give away. So I got to stop here.
Yep.
But the inspiration originally for what I wrote way back when I was very young, was anything that was in the mystery field combined with as much paranormal as they would let me. So I wrote in the early 90s with a cop. We wrote police procedurals, 2 of them, and then I moved on and wrote as Gwen. And my first book's first lines were, my name is Nicolette Dazencourt Deland, and I have committed murder. And when I got that line written, I decided it was like the whole book opened up. And I sent the first 30 pages to my agent without telling him, because had given up. I had written dozens of partials at that point, and nothing was flying. And I made the decision, I'm sending this to my agent and I'm done. I will quit writing because I'm obviously not good enough. And 3 months later, he calls me and he says, and I can't say this online. How can I phrase this? What the figs? Do you mean sending this to me and not calling me? How long ago did you send this to me? And I said, about 3 months ago. He said, why the figs didn't you call me? And I was about ready to give up and I haven't written anything since then. And he said, I need 100 pages written in 4 weeks. I'm taking this to Frankfurt. There's just a few things that you have to change. First off, your main character sounds like she's mixed race. I said, she is. He said, no, she needs to be Caucasian. Your secondary character can be mixed race because they're best friends and that works. He said, and at that time I was against it, very much so, but I understood where he was coming from because he's taken it to Europe. So I shut my mouth and didn't argue much, should have argued more. He said, she sounds like she's poor. I said, she is. He says, no, she's rich. I said, okay. He said, this sounds like it's historical. I said, it is. He says, no, it's modern day. I said, okay. He said, and it sounds like she goes to jail for this. I said, yeah. He said, no, she gets off. Other than that, everything's fine. I want 100 pages in 4 weeks. So that's where my inspiration began, with being told what the heck to write. So when RJ comes up and says, here's what I want you to write, that wasn't a big stretch for me. That was pretty easy.
So the agent was telling you what to write for market.
Yes, for market, and specifically for a European market. And when he took it to Frankfurt, it went to auction in Germany, France, Holland. I don't remember where else, 4 countries. And then later it went to auction in the UK and the US, which was really exciting for somebody with no name.
Yeah, that's a big step right there.
But, you know, the world doesn't work like that anymore. I mean, that world's dead. It's gone. That publishing world doesn't exist anymore. And even when it does, it's not the same for the writer. It's just not. Writers have to be much more versatile, much more capable of doing their own thing, much more capable of knowing their audience. Because I know today, if I wrote a historical where the character went to jail and got out, which is what I planned, of a mixed race character who committed murder and admitted it right up front, I would have a success on my hands. Because that is what the audience really wanted way back when, and nobody knew it. Nobody in publishing knew it. And a lot of
There you go. Yeah.
the writers knew it. The readers knew it, but publishing didn't know it. And so now I've had a chance to play with all kind of wonderful stuff and looking at even more crazy stuff in the future. I'm going to stop now because I talked too long. Pour my water.
All right, Diane, what has been your inspiration for writing?
Okay, so when I first started with my first book, I'll talk about the pixie job and the first book. When I first was writing, I'd been working on writing things for a while, and I like traditional fantasy a lot, and so I was writing traditional fantasy. And a friend calls me up and says, "Hey, do you want to write a book in a week?" And I said, "What?" And she goes, no, you probably won't finish it. But what we do, this is a thing that came out of RWA. She said, everybody can carve out 7 days usually where you can just write, and you can say, I'm going to ignore the cleaning and I'm going to ignore the cooking and whatever else. You can carve out some time. And she says, by the end of the week, when you get done with that week, you will know if you've got anything worth keeping going with, or you'll have a really big chunk of a novel started. And I said, sure. So I did that, and I had a chunk of a novel started that I liked. And so I kept going, and it dealt with some of my favorite tropes, which are, you know, sort of the independent woman who gets stuck doing something she doesn't want to do. And so she says no, but then in the end she has to do it. And animal pairing, she's kind of bonded with this goshawk. And then there's war, and there's I like a good ensemble cast. So there's a lot of different characters working in. Even though that first book is a single point of view, the next two in the trilogy are a lot more points of view and get kind of a lot bigger in that respect. And then for Dirty Deeds, for the Pixie job, I already knew I was going to write about Mal. And I had this, she has ghosts. When I originally wrote the first book, she has ghosts. She has 18 ghosts that hang around with her. And normally ghosts, everything else supernatural can exist without any problem, but ghosts have to be killed. And she refuses to allow that to happen. So they come and sort of draw on her for energy, and then also she kind of protects them. And they've had this good working relationship for a while. But in the first book, they arrive at this supernatural hotel type of place, and one of the ghosts freaks and goes all poltergeist. And of course, that gets her into a little bit of trouble and gets her discovered, and her whole past comes kind of crashing in on her all at once. And then the next books are her kind of dealing with her past and kind of doing some of the stuff. But also she gets attached to somebody else accidentally who is really obnoxious, but funny. He's so funny. I like to write him. He's so funny. And their interactions are so funny. That I think is the thing I like writing the most, is the banter. I love that.
Okay. Devon, your turn.
Okay, so you asked who are my inspiration? Our inspirations, right?
Who inspired you, or what's been your inspiration to become a writer?
So I came up through short fiction. So I read a lot of short fiction, sci-fi, fantasy, horror writers back in the day. So and here's where you're going to see how much of a hermit I am. I'm probably not going to pronounce any of these people's names correctly because I've read them all, but I don't hear them actually pronounced very often. So y'all get to correct me. But Roger Zelazny, or is it Zelazny? But he's one of my inspirations. Anne Maxwell, which I know is a pen name, but she wrote romantic science fiction before that was even being written.
I love Anne Maxwell. Nobody knows her.
Nobody knows her. She's amazing.
Except we have two people here who know her.
Right. Yeah. I love Henry. Here's where I'm going to get it wrong. Nutter. He blew my mind when I read his stuff. Connie Willis, love her stuff. Anyone who can take simile and metaphor and just hit me in the heart with it, I adore that. And so those were my inspirations, where I, sat up straight and went like, I want to do that. I want to do what they do, make words turn into magic, because there's this amazing, you all know it because you're all writers. When you know that you've got everything lined up so that the words are saying exactly what you want to convey, usually emotionally for me is what I'm going for, just piercing straight into the spine. When words can do that, it's freaking magic. And so anybody who can pull that off, I'm, love them in short fiction. So I came up through short fiction, wrote a lot of science fiction, fantasy, some horror, some young adult, and then realized, because back then the advice was, like Faith says, the publishing industry has changed, but back then the advice was build a big backlog of short fiction, and that creates a catalog so that when you go out with your novels, you already have readers, and editors and agents are more interested in you because you've already got kind of a market built for yourself, which isn't exactly how it works. And so I spent like 10 years or something writing short fiction, and then really wanting to write novels. And after about 10 years, I'm like, I should write a novel if I want to sell a novel. So I finally started writing novels. And I didn't know what urban fantasy was when I started writing urban fantasy. I just thought it would be really fun to shove magic in the modern day and age. And then, so I wrote a book. I had written some other books that are trunk novels, and those will stay in the trunk. But I wrote a book, sent it off to my agent, and that was the first one that sold. And not like Faith, but it also went to auction, which was amazing because it was my first novel. And Penguin Random House, Rock, that division of Penguin Random House, picked it up. And that began a 9-book series for me, which I'd never even written a trilogy. So that was challenging and really fun. Using magic as the main focus, which is, these are the alphabet. Everybody can use magic. It just costs something and the price is pain. So what are you worth? What is worth hurting for to use magic for? So those were those series, and they're kind of dark. And some of my other spinoff series are kind of dark. I did a Western steampunk magic steampunk series set in the West that also is really dark and pretty lyrical. And then I decided to step away from traditional publishing for a little while and do indie publishing, and I wanted to do something lighter. So that's what brought about the Ordinary Magic books, which is the book that I wrote from that series into this anthology. But what's kind of interesting about most of my novels is they all began as short stories. So all of my series have a short story that I wrote, and it kind of kicked off the series, except for my newest series. I haven't, that's coming out just as novels without any short stories first. So.
Okay. All right then, RJ.
Oh boy, now I'm being tossed under the bus. I'm a hard one because I didn't even learn how to read until 4th grade. So I was functionally illiterate until 4th grade. And then I started reading a lot of books. And then I got to adulthood and went, I don't know how English works. Because, you know, when you start that late, you don't know how English works. They don't teach, like they teach the fundamentals in kindergarten, 1st and 2nd grade. And then in where I grew up, they stop after 2nd grade. So you don't learn any of the fundamentals. The school system was really screwed up where I grew up. Very, very backwater country. Like, we make country look country. Really, really country. I had a 2-hour bus ride to get to school. So, really country.
Oh, wow.
So I don't actually know why I decided to start writing. I just one day I did. And then I liked it and kept on going. I am the only person here who is not traditionally published, which is a little weird. I came too late to the game. I released my first, which was an epic fantasy. I don't write a lot of epic fantasy, by the way, but my debut was an epic fantasy. So I started that, I think, in 2017.
Okay. So
No,
you're new
earlier,
to the game.
2016 or something like that. A little earlier.
Okay.
But ask her how many books she's got out.
Oh, don't ask me how many books I've got.
So how many books do you have out?
About 50.
Holy crap.
Yeah. So
she
this
talks
is my
about
day
this,
job.
She says, I've only been in print for 4 years. But she's got more books in print than I do, and I've been in print since 1990. You know, here's the violin for only being in print for 4 years.
I wish I could produce that much. Oh my God. All right.
Well, the thing is, I'm a social anxiety freak. I am so socially anxious. I stay home, and characters are great. They don't talk to me. I have aphantasia, so there's nothing that goes on in the head. No voices, no visuals, no sounds, nothing. It's just blank space. I think in words. So, yeah, I think in disembodied words, basically. So I like characters because I fully control them and then little pawn pieces, and I have a great time. So I get up in the morning, I go, oh, I can write something. I get all excited and I go to my computer and I write. And every day, just write. For the past 6 months, I didn't have hardly a day off. But I'm now after my deadlines. I don't have any deadlines. So I'm slowing down because I've been working my butt off. So I'm very tired.
Oh, I can understand that.
Yeah. I don't know how many books are released in 2020. I think it was 15.
Man.
Yeah, I think it was 15 or something like that. Excessive. I'm aiming for this many. 4. I'm aiming for 4. I'm not going to do 4. I'm going to probably do 6 or 8.
She knows more about PR than all of the rest of us put together squared.
Right.
Curious about that. She really does. She's taught us more about PR than any of us began to understand.
Real quick, back around the table. Where can we find your stuff, and what's your latest one out besides Dirty Deeds?
I'll go first. I'll throw myself under the bus this time. My latest release actually was today. It is called Wild Wolf, and it's the second book of the Wolf Hunt trilogy, which is in my Witch and Wolf World novel series. Technically, this is book 6 of a 7-book set, but the first 4 books are considered its own series. And my electricity was out all day, so I haven't done anything. I just got electricity back right before the interview started. So I had a book released today, and I haven't done anything for it. Oops.
Don't beat yourself up. It's okay. You can take a
I'm
break.
blaming the electric company. It's all their fault.
All right, Devon.
Yes. So my latest release was December. I think it was like mid-December, and it's called Wayward Souls. And it's a urban fantasy on Route 66. And
Notice the necklace.
Route 66. And there's going to be 6 in this first part of the series. And the first novel begins in Illinois, and it's going to go through most of the states. Each book will take place in one of the states. We'll have the same 2 characters trying to overcome their curse and stay together all the way to the end. A lot of people have said it's a very Lady Hawk type story. It of course has some gods and magic and all that good kind of road trip story in there too. So Souls of the Road, it's the first book in the, Wayward Souls is the first book in the Souls of the Road series. So that was out in December, and hopefully the next one will be coming up real soon.
Oh, okay. And where can they find your stuff? What's your main website?
Right, devonmonk.com.
Okay.
And you can find my stuff pretty much everywhere.
All right. RJ,
Oh,
what was your
give mine.
webpage?
TheSneakyKittyCritic.com.
Okay. Diane.
It's more the elf job should be out sometime in the next week or 2, providing I can finish it and get it out there. I have the cover, I have everything. I just haven't been able to close it out. So that'll be coming out very soon. And then the last book in my Diamond City Magic series is with my editor and should be, I'm guessing, out sometime in the next 6 months. It's called Shatter of Light. And then I go to work on some other stuff.
Cool. Where can we find your stuff at?
Well, my website is dianapfrancis.com, and sometimes you can find it in the stores, and you can always find it online at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, the usual suspects.
Okay. Faith.
I am faithhunter.net, which I avoid as much as possible, but it is faithhunter.net, not com. And I tend to interact with fans more on the fan pages on Facebook, which you can find if you start hunting around for Faith Hunter author online on Facebook. As to what, I don't remember my last book because that's in the past and I try not to look back, but the next one, besides this lovely beauty here, the next one is Junkyard Bargain, which is number 2 in the Junkyard Cat series.
That one's good too.
Yeah, it's coming out as an Audible original sometime in late February, I think. I don't know because New York is sort of in a state of paralysis right now. So I don't have a definite date on that one. And then True Blood will be out this fall. And Of Claws and Fangs, which will be a brand new compilation of all of the short stories I have written since Blood in Our Veins. That one will be out. And there's something else coming out before the end of the year, but I'm sorry, I don't have a brain left. Is that enough? That's enough. Tell me.
Oh yeah, that is absolutely wonderful.
All right.
All right, so Chattacon, pick up Dirty Deeds, take a look, tell the ladies what you think. Oh, wait, Faith has got it. And thank you for listening.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Now, Billy Joe Bob,
Yes, ma'am.
you need to know something very important.
Do I need an adult?
You need to know that this is the first time the four of us have ever met in person.
Oh, really?
Ever.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
We've never seen each other on video. So you can
Well, I've seen you, Faith, but not all
well,
of us.
I've seen you, but I've not seen either Di or Devon. Did I say that right? Because now
Yeah.
she's got me confused.
Okay.
No, you got it.
Sid.
And honestly, because it's spelled at the way that anyone would say Devon, I will answer to Devon, but it's Devon. So
I remember by chair. I just think she's the chair, and she's the queen chair. So
You just turned her into
Devon.
furniture?
I whatever makes me remember how to pronounce somebody's name, dude. You suck. The lamp is a jerk. I'm just showing you. Come on. Why is text?
Now, in case you haven't figured it out, RJ has no filters. And the rest of us just play off of RJ, okay?
It
I'm
works.
like
It works
kind of
beautifully.
mastermind, but I'm the troublesome mastermind. I'm like the evil mastermind. Yeah.
Now,
Diana was
is
the
that
actual mastermind. I just made it happen.
so? I have to ask, was that moonshine?
Me?
No, that.
You tell me.
Well, the best way to tell is if you light a flame and it burns blue, but
You don't know how to check the bubbles?
no, all I know about is lighting a flame and turning it,
Oh.
taking a sip and having it. But I
Oh.
I can't drink moonshine anymore because I have a corn allergy.
Well, no, this is just water, but
Okay.
you can proof moonshine. You can proof any
Mhm.
liquor by the amount of bubbles. If they're tiny bubbles and they hang around for a long time, it's a higher proof. If they're big bubbles and they just kind of disperse real quick, it's a low proof.
Low proof.
Because if you see here, watch.
Hmm.
See how quick it just
Nothing.
dissipates?
So
It's
is
just
that
water.
any alcohol?
Yeah, that's any
Sugar.
alcohol.
It's sugars. Sugars will do it too. So if you look at my Gatorade, you do it, the bubbles stay. It's
Go.
the presence of the sugars in the alcohol.
But that's how the old timers would proof a jar or a bottle.
You can add sugar in it, and they used to they would add sugar to the alcohol to make it look like it's higher proof.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. I knew that, but I didn't know it was the bubble size.
Yep.
I'm from the South. There was a still at the end of my street when I was a little girl. And I'm not,
Right.
when the revenuers busted it up, all the dogs, cats, possums, and skunks in the neighborhood got stoned at the end of the street and were lying in the street up, drunk as they can possibly be. And there were dead, they looked dead, but they were all just terribly drunk from eating the mash. Every dog. There must have been 50 dogs at the end of our street just